You are the innocence of God. To live in the innocence of your true self is the journey that we've all stepped into. To accept your innocence is to be free of all doubt, all ideas of being separate or different from anyone or anything, to accept the innocence that holds all creation. When when that is found within the innocence, when you accept the innocence of your divine self, you have to be accepting it for everyone, not because there's a rule, but because in innocence it will be all that you can recognize anymore. So when there is disturbance, it's not given credence anymore, whether the disturbance is felt within or it's seen outside. You no longer see it as something that has validity. The disturbance that's chosen is the fear of love, the belief that there is a reason to be disturbed, there is a reason to be unsafe, because disturbance and unsafety are very much the same. It isn't that thoughts are necessarily obvious about disturbance, but the reactions to the world or to situations or to just waking up in the morning and feeling a disturbance, that's that's the call to love for yourself as well. The call of love, the call to love, isn't just for others. It isn't just when you see someone in pain or disturbed that you recognize it as a call for love. It's a call for love when you are feeling disturbed within. And that may be the biggest leap of faith, to bring medicine to yourself, the medicine of love to yourself, and bring truth to yourself when there is a call for love. When you are disturbed or upset about anything, it is a call for love. And you have the power within you to come back to that trust, to that love, and that innocence that is within you, that is who you are. It never changes, it has never changed. Every beloved has lived an identity that has no reality. It would be probably most helpful to have another word for love besides the word love, because the word love is used in the world as if it's the same. Not that anyone's aware of that, but what has been known as love in the world is fear. The idea of getting from someone else something that you believe is missing starts from a place that has no reality. You are love, as everyone else is also love. And as that love is recognized, you realize that, oh, there's no one out there. We're all one together, one heart, one life. one love, one existence, one creation. But to look at what we considered to be love in the past and realize how mistaken we were because we didn't know love. We didn't we weren't in connection with love. No one until they come home to reality is aware of love. How is it that when you when there is a relationship between beloveds that haven't discovered God in their heart yet, you can believe that you love someone and then they do something or do many things that are fearful or unloving, whatever, but that it can go from love to hate. Hate has no connection to love. Hate is fear. And everywhere that fear has held, love is being called to be brought to that hatred, to that fear, and to see the innocence within and in everyone. The mistaken identity. It is a mistake. It is not a curse, but it is a mistake. And to heal that mistake is to let love show you itself. There's a prayer that almost probably everybody's heard once or twice, and I'm not repeating it exactly, I'm just speaking to its purpose. From St. Francis: love is kind, love is open, and it goes on of all the attributes of love. Love is generous, love is gentle, love is honest. And the name of love in the world doesn't see the same need for kindness or gentleness or truth. And yet, as you say yes to love of yourself, it is to go past all limitations and see the beauty and the perfection of every beloved through the heart, the willingness to accept only love is real, the truth of love, only God is real, the truth of God. You are the innocence, you are the perfection, as well as every beloved having the same beauty, the same perfection. The choice to see that love is your happiness, is your peace, is your resting. You are the truth of love. But the discovery of that love is the elimination of all that stands in the way of love, all that's been made up, all the reactions, all the thoughts, all the fears, all the hatred, surrendering it all and coming empty into the arms of God in love. Sing, sing a new song to the truth of God. For all the miracles that renew us each day in truth, in love. His justice is beyond comprehension, His beauty beyond all praise. He opens the mind of all doubters and touches the fearful with the truth of love, and touches everything in the moment. Light is sown for the righteous, and joy for the pure of heart. Shout to the truth of love. All creatures burst forth in songs of thanksgiving. Thank God I wasn't right. Sing out with violins and harps. Praise the truth of love in a chorus of voices, with trumpets and the sound of the ram's horn. Make joyful music to the truth of love. Let the heavens and the earth rejoice. Let the waves of the ocean roar. Let the rivers clap their hands. Let the mountains tumble with joy. Let the meadows sing out together. Let the trees of the forest exult. In acknowledgement of the truth of love, whose justice is always present, where truth hides beneath the surface, shining from the depths of the universe, whose laws pulses in love and extends to the outermost stars. Sing the praises of love. That's not something that happens with thought for the most part, not thoughts of the world. And yet, you can step out of the thoughts of the world and sing. Your heart can be singing with joy that you weren't right, that only love is real, and that it is guaranteed that everyone and every creature will remember. That is the power of love, the joining of love, the willingness. Sing, sing to the Lord, sing to God, sing to love. And the song that sings within your heart will lighten your mind and heart continuously until all of the fears and beliefs of separation are diminished and then gone, falling away. Because, and it's been said so many times, you can't serve two masters. So if you're singing in your heart, there's no room for fear. It finally gives up. There's a quote from Yogananda: when the guest is no longer welcome, the guest will leave. It's that simple, and yet it takes that consciousness of what do we truly want moment to moment to come back into our awareness so that we can hold with the spirit of love, the truth of our divine self, accepting your divine self and accepting the divine self of all creation, all creation. One minute to midnight, and the sky is turning black. 1 minute to midnight, and there's no turning back. I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home to stay. 1 minute to midnight, and my train is pulling in. 1 minute to midnight, and my new life will begin. Love calls me home. Love calls me home. Love calls me home for good. 1 minute to midnight, and the bells begin to chime. 1 minute to midnight, and they tell me that it's time to turn toward the light, turn toward the light, turn toward the light of my home. 1 minute to midnight, as I bandage up my heart. 1 minute to midnight, as I let the healing start. I will receive, I will receive, I will receive my welcome home. As I bandage up my heart, that's what we've all been doing since we incarnated. You bandage up your heart, and while your heart is bandaged, you turn toward love. And then the bandages will fall away because the healing love of light is opening your heart without any previous wounds, without any previous idea of separation. You will receive your welcome home. You're coming home. That's all that's real, is that you're coming home. O soul, O spirit, could I ever turn from you? No way. Could I ever fall in love with anything else? No way. In the garden of love, all I see are the flowers in bloom. Could I ever turn toward the thorns? No way. Hold to the reins of love and don't be afraid. Hold to the real behind the false and don't be afraid. You must know that the beloved you seek is none other than you. Hold to the truth and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. When you have fear, when you live with fear, and it has been the voice that you hear, and you've been afraid of it, afraid of fear, it is a leap of faith to no longer be afraid, to no longer believe its power. Most beloveds don't consciously see the power that is given to the fear. It's almost like I always get this same image of standing on a railroad track and hearing the train coming, and keep standing on the railroad track, trusting that when it's time, you'll step away from the railroad track. But that the anticipation of it is the greatest fear. It conjures up all the, not just the fear, but the fantasies of the fear. And yet the train isn't there. and you will step away from the track before the train gets there. This can be a practice of realizing the fantasy of the fear has as much power as the fear does itself. And yet you're standing on the railroad tracks and there's nothing happening, just the anticipation of the train. The fear is usually connected to what might happen. All those ways that fear has ruled. It's like putting fear on notice. You're not my friend anymore. You're not my enemy anymore. You're nothing. You're nothing. And finding the power in your mind and heart to no longer accept that fear has power. I can't tell you how many times I stood, not on those railroad tracks, but on those railroad tracks in my mind, and feeling the fear wrap itself around and start to suffocate what seemed to be life itself. And yet, at some point, it was like, no, I'm not accepting that. God is standing with me. It's 1 minute to midnight, and my train is pulling in. My new life will begin. I want that new life, and my relationship with fear is on notice. First, it's on notice. Then it's on divorce. No longer wanting to dance. The fear can't be rejected unless you reject all the ways of the past that you have believed that you were unsafe, and the acceptance that the fantasy of the past is not who you are, not in any way, shape, or form. You are the light of God. The acceptance of that will take you through the storm. Does there have to be a storm? No, but because of the fear that we carried, it usually feels that way. But no matter how the fear wants your attention, you keep turning to God. You keep turning to love. You keep turning to faith, with faith, into the medicine of love, refusing the lies of the past, refusing the pain of the past, refusing to believe that you were damaged. Now, that almost can feel blasphemous. It does feel blasphemous in many ways. I remember calling the power of God and saying no to fear and feeling the blasphemy that I didn't have the right to refuse the fear, that I didn't have the right to change my mind. But every teaching promised the same thing. You are the light and the love of God. And fear is not your reality. There is no fear in God. So there cannot be fear as reality within you. I had to accept it. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. I wanted to more than anything. And all the resistance that came was not my friend, was not my safety, not my escape. Love was my escape into reality, to escape from the belief of lies, and to, instead of feeling blasphemous, feeling the openness of I made it up. And whether I made it up in the past or I'm making it up now, I can change my mind. I can turn toward God and ask for the help of strength. I can turn toward God and ask for clarity, for truth, for love, for peace, for ease, for comfort. I can ask for it all, and it will be given. And there is the faith. It will be given. The only element that stands in the way for everyone is that when you ask for that help, the willingness to receive it, the willingness to trust in that help. I am not weak but strong in the truth of love. I am not helpless but all powerful in the truth of love. Those are not just words, those are invocations of truth. Those are the power that when you have those prayers in your heart, the universe opens up for you. Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles are words, happen to be the title of a teaching, but it is the learning of miracles. It is the trust in miracles that whatever shows up for you is the perfect element that's showing up. And it isn't about always walking easily, but it can be. To walk easily, the way of love, is to be without judgment of what appears to be showing up. Whatever happens physically, whatever happens in the world that you perceive, to see it as the opportunity, to see it as the gift in the moment, or else it wouldn't be there. A growth opportunity, without using the word that the angels use, it is an opportunity. It is always an opportunity. It's not always easy to see it as an opportunity, but that is where the deepest healing is, the welcoming, because everything that shows up is coming from your perception of it, and it's showing you what's in the way. It's showing you what you believe. It showed me what I believed. And sometimes when you're being shown what you believe, it can be shocking because there's two worlds that we've made. We've made a world of our fantasies of how we believe we've been treated, and we've made another fantasy of what we've brought with us to heal. If somebody would have said to me, "You're the most jealous person I've ever met," I would have been truly offended, and I would have believed that they were wrong. But when I began to truly heal and I saw the jealousy that I secretly held about everything, that's where my healing was. The forgiveness that I was mistaken, but that now I could see all the all the jealousy, all the bitterness, all of the wanting more and being bitter and angry at others who had more than me. Why did they have what looked like a better life? All of that jealousy, all of that bitterness was all wrapped up in my self made identity of being separate, of being alone, of being without, of being damaged. I wasn't trading it in for being the best in the world. I wasn't trading it in for being more admired. I wasn't trading it in for being successful. I was trading it in for peace. I was trading it in for compassion. I was trading it in for gentleness, for honesty, and for an open heart. Was that enough to trade for all the things that I was surrendering? It was everything. I had to pray to be at peace with the attributes of God. I had to pray to want to see it differently. I had to pray to be shown the way because I didn't know the way. How could I? I'd never been there before. I'd never walked back to God before. I never accepted that love was real. And I never accepted that I could be undamaged, unscarred, and that I would never be unsafe again. If nothing else, to be free of being unsafe was the miracle that I longed for. And all I had to do was trust that the teachings and the communication with the divine was real, real, tangible, real, and that miracles were real. Not a rescue, not in any way a rescue, but a forgiveness, a self forgiveness for the lies that I lived, for the hatred, for the bitterness, for the fear, all of it, lies, that I made up. Did it matter? No. Was there repercussions for what I made up? No. Only through myself, by believing that I deserved punishment, that I deserved to suffer. No, this was not in God's truth. I could not suffer and be in the love of God. Suffering is an element of its own. It comes from the beliefs that you have to pay, that you have to pay. Guilt and shame are payment in the mind of separation. There's no purpose to it at all. You have done nothing. You have changed nothing. And all that you're being called to is to open your heart and let God rest where God belongs, in your heart. I couldn't imagine that I could pray and say, show me how I can walk in this world in love. Take my hand and show me. I'm not here alone, and I don't have the answer, but God does. And I want to live in that answer. I want to live where I belong. I want to live in truth. I want to live in freedom. I want to be the love that God promises I am. And I want to see the love that's the truth of everything. I want to walk in that garden of love. I want to smell the flowers. I want to rest. There's a purpose to resting in God. It's saying you're not in charge. And yet, the power of God is your power. But there's no little I, there's no little me that's in charge. The power of God is your power. Everything else is turned upside down and is actually weakness where you think it might be strength. The power of God is your power. Invite that power. Invite it in every moment. It's 1 minute to midnight, and my train is pulling in. My new life will begin because it is God's will for my happiness. It is God's will for my strength. It is God's will for the truth to be mine, for my mind to be cleansed, for my heart to be opened. Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. Show me the way. Every beloved who has awakened is living in the joy of being the servant. It's not a fancy title that you wear on a name card. It's the quiet, constant lack of judgment and gratefulness of seeing the beauty in everything, the erasing of opinion, the erasing of personal beliefs, personal identity. It used to really frighten me when I would see beloveds on their knees, bowed either toward Mecca, toward the symbol of love. I would think that they were weak. I would think that they were sheep following because they didn't have enough dignity of their own. Once you bow and open your heart to God, you discover where the dignity really is. The dignity is in bowing. The dignity is in the realization I have the power of God all the time. I cannot be without it because it is what is real. With the power of God, there's nothing to defend, there's nothing to protect, and there's nothing to battle with. I've often said it's like having a concierge available to you at all times. You turn toward the power of love constantly, and in that turning and asking for help, in that in that humility of recognizing it is not a power I made, it is a power that I am blessed to be within, and there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do but rest in that power and let that power lead you always. When we incarnate and learn. We learn the pain, we learn the suffering of the world, we learn the belief of limitation and scarcity. We learn that the world is perceived to be unsafe, that everyone believes in scarcity and everyone believes in lack. And it's easy to see it within, comparing constantly, always finding others that seem to have more. Or if you see someone who has less, there's, in a way, as the saying goes, there but by the grace of God go I. No, there is not a comparison. We are everyone. We have suffered the same suffering in every life. And it isn't God's will that anyone suffer. That beloved who you see suffering, you don't you don't serve them by pitying them or being sad for them, but by exalting them as the light of God, giving them the strength that you have found, not with words, but with your heart, because you're one. You're one in that love. There's nothing to pity. There is strength to bring to each moment. And that strength is your heart. And every time you open your heart even a little bit to offer that strength, your heart heals exponentially. Your mind heals exponentially. When I was called to refer to every beloved as the beloved, it wasn't automatic. It didn't come easily. It felt awkward. It felt even that I shouldn't be using the term beloved because it was too exalted. And when I hesitated, I heard the voice of love that no, this is exactly your learning, the beloved. It felt in a way like the same way that it feels to say to someone, I love you, and then you're afraid that it won't be returned. All of that has to be dropped. I love you. I love you with all my heart. And being able to hold that in your heart for everyone, for everything. My love is yours. We are one love. There's nothing else, only the innocence of that love. It's yours, it's you. It's never gone. It was never gone. But when we are asleep, living in a trance, we're here to surrender that trance. And thank God it's surrenderable. Only love is real. And thank God. This is the purpose of gratitude from the moment that you wake up. If you can feel and let the gratitude expand within you, it becomes everything. Thank God I wasn't right. Thank God only love is real. Thank God there are miracles that transform. What is the miracle? The miracle is the dropping in the mind of the lies. Every lie that you drop is being dropped by God. Your willingness is there, but the transformation and the realization that time collapses and you see truth, you receive in that moment an awareness that you didn't have before. You're not thinking about it. You're not making it up. You're not conjuring it up. You're opening to the miracle and letting time collapse and seeing through love in that instant, the holy instant of accepting love, the power of God is the power of the universe. It's it's so it's so set in that truth that you have to realize that in our fears we are so lost that we don't even realize that the power of God can certainly run your life if it can run the universe. But the fear says, no, I'm going to run my life. I'm the one who makes the decisions. Decide for love. That's the only decision that has any value. Decide for love. Decide for peace. Decide for compassion. Decide for harmony. That's all that we're here for, is to reject the lies and accept love. You have the power within you. It's always there. But when the costume finally falls off, it's discovered. And as the teaching says, I need do nothing. I need do nothing to change anything. All I have to do is allow and invite. I am already God's creation. Everything is already God's creation. Accept your birthright. You are God's creation. Nothing else is real. One heart in the garden of love. It isn't easy all the time to take that leap, to turn toward the divine, to pivot toward the divine. Oh, yes, that's right. God, lead me, and I will follow. Because when I'm in charge, I suffer. When I think I'm in charge, I'm in pain. When I think I know, I am self attacking. Help me to let go of knowing. That means nothing. I made it up. Help me. Teach me. Guide me every moment.